The Boeing 747, the world's first wide-body jet. So massive, the Wright brothers' historic flight could have been made inside.
The quantum leap in technology of that airplane was just extraordinary.
And it was much more than just a big airplane.
This airplane allowed every person on Earth the opportunity to get an airplane and fly anywhere else.
But there's a hidden story to the Queen of the Skies.
It was a fight all the way.
It was a billion-dollar gamble that stretched technology to the limits.
The whole engine would move and the structure was obviously shaken, and you'd hear a very loud bang.
Pushing the Boeing company close to financial meltdown.
Boeing gambled the company millions of dollars on this project.
But when it did fly, it soared off into the history books.
The vision of that airplane, as big as it was, lifting off for the first time, was just magic.
It became an icon, the most recognized aircraft in the world.
When a 747 pulls up to the gate, people take pictures of it. Little kids point at it.
Flying through bad times.
I didn't think I was going to die. I knew I was going to die.
And on to serve her country.
When it came to game day and time to move the President of the United States, 747 was ready to go.
The Jumbo has transported the equivalent of 80% of the human race.
The 747 rated on a 1 to 10 scale, it has to be a 10. It's solid state, if you will. It's majestic.
The plane that created a revolution. This is the latest generation Jumbo, the 747-8. One of the world's largest and most advanced jet airliners. Its massive engines can take it close to the speed of sound.
Lufthansa 796 cleared for takeoff, runway 18. Yes. Go.
The 747 rapidly accelerates to the speed of a Formula One race car.
Rotate.
Effortlessly lifting over 400 tons into the night sky. But the story of how this iconic aircraft became such a success was far from smooth or trouble-free. The 747 story starts on a quiet fishing trip in Alaska with two giants of the aviation world. Juan Trippe, the powerful yet suave owner of Pan Am, tells Bill Allen, the no-frills boss of Boeing, of his vision for a superplane. Trippe wants an aircraft 2.5 times larger than anything that's gone before.
This was the early days of commercial jet travel. Juan Trippe at Pan American Airways saw an opportunity here for a bigger airplane to take advantage of this growth. An airplane with 400 seats that could carry more people and make more revenue.
Both men are reaching retirement, and they want to go out with a bang.
Gentlemen?
It's the largest commercial aircraft order in history. Trippe signs a contract for 25 747s, a deal worth a staggering $3.7 billion in today's money. And Bill Allen agrees Trippe can have them in just 28 months. It sets an almost impossible challenge for Boeing's engineers.
This was all new technology. Remember, this airplane was going to be twice the size of any commercial airplane in existence. And the time constraints, the schedule that they put on themselves was incredibly tight.
At first, nobody has any idea of what it should look like. So the first stage is to draw preliminary designs. Heading the new 747 division is a young engineer, Joe Sutter. It's his first big break.
They gave me 20 people to do preliminary studies, and we were on our own, and all we knew it was bigger. They wanted the airplane to have good range, and they wanted the airplane to go as fast as it could.
Now in his 90s, Joe Sutter looks back on the impossible challenge he was given. Back then, as a junior engineer, he sometimes faced a hostile reception from those more senior.
I had to do a little bit of education that I was the boss. And I kiddingly tell them if they didn't want to go along with my orders, I had a good assignment in Bangladesh I could send them to.
They have just 28 months to get the 747 into the air. Sutter's team works around the clock. But despite the size of the challenge, they are not Boeing's #1 project. Most of the company's resources and its best talent are working on another aircraft.
We were certainly not the only kids on the block as far as the 747 program was concerned. The real hot button item around Seattle was the supersonic transport airplane.
This is what Boeing believes is the future. A supersonic transporter to travel 3 times the speed of sound. It's designed to outfly its European rival Concorde, which is also in its design phase. And when the SST comes into service, the 747 would be relegated to shipping freight.
Now, the SST was the future of flight. Nobody was going to want to fly on a subsonic plane when you can get on a supersonic transport and fly 2.5 times the speed of sound and get to your destination in a fraction of the time.
And the 747 was just almost an afterthought. They didn't expect to build more than 50 of these airplanes, and they expected most to be transports, but it'd be sort of like a stopgap until they got this airplane running. So obviously, the 747 was playing second fiddle the whole time.
Sutter's team is shoved into old facilities and starved of resources.
The engineers who were working the supersonic transports felt, I think, that they were a little bit superior to some of the other folks around the place.
Everybody now thinks that the 747 was the queen of the skies and everything was very in good shape. Well, that wasn't the case at all. There's a fight all of the way.
But Sutter is undaunted.
Joe Sutter is the kind of person that comes along once in a lifetime. You happen to be exactly the right person at exactly the right time for the right kind of challenge.
Before Sutter and his team can get down to the nuts and bolts of the design, they have to come up with the basic shape of the aircraft. Boeing has promised the 747 in 28 months, and nobody yet has a clue what it should look like.